A very common question I get from people is, should I release an album or should I only release singles? My answer is you should do both. And to elaborate on that, what I mean is I love albums. I love the way that an album takes you on a journey from start to finish. It plays in a way that is intended by the artist. I really love liner notes. I miss them dearly. I love everything about buying an album, listening to it start to finish, reading those liner notes, looking at the photos. So please don't take this as me saying don't release an album by any means. I want you to release an album. The reason that you should also release singles is that with each single, it has an opportunity to be considered for editorial. Let's say you pitch it within the Spotify for Artists editorial pitch tool. You can pitch each individual track. Obviously, each individual track, as long as you submit it at least 1 week prior, will go into release radar for all of your followers. Each individual track will have an opportunity to be submitted on websites such as Pandora as well, where you can actually even submit tracks that were released up to 1 year ago for consideration as well from the team there. So the other thing is, let's say you're working towards an album, you can start releasing those tracks now and gaining new fans along the way. And what happens is, let's say over the next 6 months, you release 5 tracks, maybe less, maybe more, but we're just going to say over the next 6 months, you release 5 tracks. Each track has its own opportunity, its own time to shine. One may do really well, maybe a few do. Any streams that you've acquired on those tracks are attached to those tracks, as is the ISRC, the International Standard Recording Code. Now, if you then release an album in 6 months' time and you include those songs that you've already released, when you go to your distributor and you upload all the tracks for your album, or you take it to your label, whoever, you would say, hey, I already have an ISRC for these tracks that are already been released previously. What happens is when that album comes out and people go to it on Spotify, for example, all the stream counts from that track on the album and the single release version will merge. So what this means is that there's that song, it doesn't matter if people listen to the single release version or that song within the album, all of those stream counts merge into one. Another good thing about this is instead of that song appearing twice on an artist's main page in the top 10, so the single version could show 1,000 streams, the album version could show 5,000 streams. Instead, it would show one time in that top 10 and it would show 6,000 streams. I've seen artists do this for bragging rights, where they release a bunch of tracks over a year and they get a bunch of streams on each of the tracks, and then the day that their album comes out, they take a screenshot of their Spotify for Artists and say, look, we got 250,000 streams across this album already. Really, they got those streams over the year leading up to the album, but it still looks cool. So it's really hard to cover this in a short podcast format like this. But if anyone is interested, this is a shameless plug. It is also covered in my book, Work Hard, Playlist Hard. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it at Barnes & Noble. You can find it at bookstores around the world, paperback, hardcover, ebook, Kindle, whatever's your jam. Or you can go to workhardplaylisthard.com. I hope you found this useful and I hope you enjoy this short podcast format. You can reach me on social media at Ask Mike Warner. Thank you.